Hello everybody and welcome to this week newsreel. Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of minutes. I hope you're all doing great, and guys, without further ado, let's start this video with the quiz question for this week, which is related to hops. So here we go. Who was the largest exporter of hop cones in the world in terms of value, of course, for 2020? And the options here are the United States, Germany, or the Czech Republic. And the correct answer, guys, is Germany with some $296.5 million worth of exports. And I don't know, just for your information, guys, the United States was the second largest exporter, while the Czech Republic was the third largest one. And with this very important information you've just acquired, let's now move on to the Freightos index, which for week 10 stood at $9,777, with big movers here concerning the North American coasts. And basically we have a 4% increase on the sub-index connecting North American west coast to China, and a 13% drop on the sub-index connecting North American east coast to China. As for the head holes here, for the Trans-Pacific, we have 1% increase for both sub-indexes, which translates in absolute terms to $16,353 for the one connecting China to North American west coast, and $18,432 for the one connecting China to North America east coast. For the crossways ones, the volatility again is contained, at least for the head holes, and basically we're having a 1% decrease for week 10, which in absolute terms translates to $13,382 for the sub-index connecting China to North Europe, and $13,707 for the one connecting China to the Mediterranean. So again, the overall index is under the 10K mark. It is so in fact from the middle of November last year. Not big movers for the main head holes, and here it begs the questions, considering the context, if, I don't know, this period of relative stability in terms of freights somehow breeds instability, or I don't know, the so-called supply-demand equilibrium was reached, and this is maybe the plateau everybody was talking about, and frankly, it would be very hazardous if anyone will predict how things are going to be, because if you ask me, we are in the realm of speculation, even if we're considering a 2 or 3 months range, especially again given the current situation. So everything you hear or read, guys, in terms of ocean freights must be treated with a high dose of skepticism. And in this uncertain note, I will start with the first news for week 10, coming from containernews.com. And it's about the record high bunker prices amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And here, I'm not considering myself an expert on bunkering strategies or how to hedge them, but clearly this conflict, coupled with the sanctions imposed on Russia, will have repercussions on the bunker adjustment factor surcharge. So do expect it to be higher, and most probably the shipping lines will take this opportunity to adjust it more frequently, both for the spot and the contract rates. And I don't know, lifting some of the sanctions on Iran or I don't know, Venezuela in order to boost production might help, but of course it all comes down to geopolitical games with very high uncertainties. So all eyes again on the United States and how they are managing this geopolitical game. If you ask me, both China and India should be also closely watched, as they want their manufacturing bases to work at full capacity and of course to provide employment. So basically we have yet another uncertainty to be added to this already list of uncertainties, and anything could happen, guys. So basically you have to expect the best, prepare for the worst, as the say go. And guys, without anything else to add here, I will now move on to my second news, again from containernews.com. And we have some fresh data from Sea Intelligence Global Liner Performance Report for January this year. And again, Maersk was the most reliable top 14 carrier with almost 47% reliability, followed by Hamburg Süd with almost 43%. MSC and HMM had both some, I don't know, 32, 33% reliability, while the worst performers were Casco, Van High, OOCL, and Evergreen, all below 20% reliability. So basically we're talking about here only 1 in 5 vessels arrived on time in January this year, which is a big change if we're looking at their data from 2021. And in fact, except Maersk, Hamburg Süd, HMM, and the one for January 2022, the rest of them had the worst performance than in 2021. And here it would be very interesting, if you ask me, to find out if the increase in the number of vessels operated and thus the complexity of, I don't know, vessel deployment, routing, networking, and so on is correlated with the schedule reliability. My guess is that there is a correlation, and most probably this is a very good indicator on how good and nimble the shipping companies are at absorbing, I don't know, integrating and deploying the new increased capacity from new builds and or acquisitions within their network. Again, this is what my common sense is telling me. I might be wrong, but again, I'm not claiming that I'm a shipping expert, but then again, you don't have to be an expert these days to have an opinion on something, right? Anyways, with January's schedule reliability covered, I will now move on to my next news, which is very interesting. It's coming from our friends from splash247.com, and it's about Vietnam's steelmaker Hoa Phat Group. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. New venture into container building, as they want to challenge a little bit China's huge dominance, and it is expected by that by the end of this month the first batch of production equipment will arrive at the factory, with production starting in the third or fourth quarter this year, according to Hoa Phat Group's press release. The plant is expected to reach a capacity of 200,000 TEU a year by the end of next year, and at full capacity this amount will be increased to 500,000 TEU a year, focusing both on 20 and 40 feet containers. And guys, here I don't have much to say other than it will be a chase to the bottom line, basically, with the world's largest manufacturer, which is China's International Marine Containers. And hopefully the Vietnamese group would have forecasted their volumes correctly. Also, it could be that there are some incentives coming from the local authorities. But then again, competing with China is never an easy endeavor, and sometimes you need to incentivize the local industry in order to be competitive and, of course, help drive Vietnam's export potential. So good luck, and let's wait and see how the big boys, like, I don't know, the container shipping companies and the container leasing companies will react to this newly venture. And until we have new info available, I will move on to my next news, which is related, unfortunately, to the conflict between Ukraine and the Russian Federation and how both countries took drastic actions concerning their exports. Ukraine, for example, introduced export licenses or suspended its exports for key agricultural commodities, which is very, very understandable, like, I don't know, wheat, sunflower oil, poultry, eggs, oats, salt, sugar, meat, and livestock. While Russia, on the other hand, in response to the Western sanctions, banned the exports for some 200 products, according to BBC, a measure that will remain effective until the end of this year. So, guys, tough times ahead with immediate effects, as we can witness, at least in Europe, on the energy and agri sectors that will cascade rapidly if this goes on longer. And by all means, it doesn't mean that once the conflict is over, everything is going to be fine. And I don't know, here I will take a positive scenario in which Russia retreats, leaving Ukraine as it was before the invasion in February, so no political or geographical changes. And here you need to assess the damages. Ukraine needs to reorganize and rebuild their infrastructures. Their 2022 crop is most probably affected. Their plants have to be rebuilt or repaired. So even after this is over, it will take at least 2 or 3 years, if not more, to have the same level of output. And my guess is that mostly for Europe, and I don't know, in a smaller amount for the rest of the world, inflationary pressure will build up in this time frame. So again, buckle up, much uncertainty at the horizon. And speaking of uncertainty, the next article comes from Italy's ING Think senior economist Paolo Pizzoli, and as you've probably guessed it by now, it's about Italy and Italy's January performance in terms of industrial output, which is a strong indicator about the economic health of a country, which, guess what, plunged worse than expected and highlighted Italy's vulnerabilities to energy commodity price developments. And not just COVID-19 related supply chain disruptions. And I'm not going to cover the entire article here. As always, you have the link in the description below this video. But basically, in Italy, almost all sectors were down with warning signals from intensive gas users. And in terms of GDP, well, it seems that contraction in GDP in the first quarter of 2022 seems extremely likely. And guys, I will stop here with the bad news. Enough for today. Thank you for taking some of your time to hear me perorate. Don't forget to hit those tiny little buttons below this video. Again, thank you all for watching. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.